Okay, let's talk about something we've all been through. That super awkward, sometimes cringy moment when you forget someone's name. We're going to get into the psychology of why that happens.
You know the drill, right? You meet someone new, you shake their hand, they say, "Hi, I'm Sarah." You say, "Nice to meet you, Sarah," and then poof, gone, vanished. It's a crazy common experience, and we're going to figure out exactly why it happens. And hey, here's the good news right up top. If this happens to you, you're not rude, you're not scatterbrained, and you don't have a bad memory. This is not a personal failure. Seriously, it's actually a feature, not a bug, of how your brain is designed. All right, so let's get into the nitty-gritty. First up, we need to talk about your brain's filing system. See, to remember anything, your brain has to be able to connect it to something it already knows. It's all about making associations.
This whole process is called memory association. Just think of your brain as a giant library. You wouldn't just toss a new book on the floor, right? No, you'd put it in the right section next to other books on the same topic. Your brain desperately wants to do the same thing with new info. And this right here perfectly explains the problem with names. So let's say you meet someone who tells you they're a baker. Instantly, your brain has all these hooks to hang that info on. The smell of fresh bread, a white puffy hat, a hot oven. But what if you meet someone whose name is Baker? Well, that's just a random sound. It's totally arbitrary. It has no built-in meaning, so your brain is just kind of holding it with absolutely nowhere to file it away. So you've got this filing problem, but that's not all that's going on. When you first meet someone, your brain is also fighting this intense internal battle for its own attention. And here's the crucial thing you gotta understand. Your brain is hardwired for survival. Evolutionarily speaking, remembering a face, which tells you friend or foe, is way, way more important than remembering the random sound that goes with it. The face always gets top priority. Now check this out. This is basically a breakdown of where your mental energy goes in that first handshake. A huge chunk is just processing their face. Another big piece is spent worrying about what you're going to say next. Then you're also reading their body language. After all that, what's left for their name? A tiny little sliver, maybe 10%. It barely stands a chance. Okay, this brings us to our third big hurdle, the total chaos that's happening inside your own head. That social pressure of meeting someone new, it creates an overactive mind, which is the absolute enemy of memory. Does this little inner monologue sound familiar? I bet it does. You're so busy running down this social checklist, be cool, be friendly, seem interesting, that you aren't actually listening. You're performing. And that's the real kicker. All that internal anxiety, that mental performance, it's fighting for the exact same brain power you need to actually hear, process, and store the name. Your own thoughts are literally shoving the name right out of your memory before it ever gets a foothold. So, after hearing all this, it's really time we completely reframe how we think about this. It's not about having a bad memory. It's about understanding what's really going on under the hood, psychologically speaking. So, let's do a quick recap. We forget names because 1. They're abstract sounds with no hooks. 2. Our brain is way more interested in faces and social cues. 3. Our attention is split a million different ways. And 4. Our own internal anxiety is often the loudest thing we're listening to. So the next time you forget a name 2 seconds after you hear it, please don't beat yourself up about it. It isn't a character flaw. See it for what it really is. It's just a sign of a super active brain doing its job, filtering tons of information and prioritizing what it thinks you need to survive the social situation. And that's really the final thought I want to leave you with. Maybe we've been looking at this all wrong. Is that momentary blank truly a memory failure? Or is it actually proof of a brain working exactly the way it's supposed to, focusing on the connection, the face, the social cues, all the stuff that's way more complex than just a simple arbitrary name? Something to think about, right?